Welcome, IT changemakers, to the DEX Show with Tim Flower and Tom McGraw. Let's get into it.
Hello, changemakers. It is the end of 2024. We hope on the DEX Show that you've had a good year, and we're very grateful for everybody tuning in over the course of this year. And there is only one way that Tim and I like to end a year of DEX Show broadcasting, and that is by welcoming perhaps our favorite, if that's not too, you can't really say that, but he's certainly up there.
We're still
And
thinking about it, perhaps.
he is, and
Allegedly,
well,
within reason.
he has been on the show more than anybody else. Let's just cop to that. I think this might be his fifth or sixth appearance, and I think it might be his third end of year show with us in a row.
It's just anytime somebody cancels, right? Is that how it works? Every time somebody cancels, you're like, "Oh God, can we get Geoff on? Can we get Geoff on this?"
I'd love to cut you down a bit and say that's true, but sadly, Geoff, this is an illustrious spot. We have you back
We're
on.
going to need the 5-timer. We got to get you a 5-timer jacket.
Yeah, exactly. Our end of year show is a special occasion, and I'm just working my way to introduce you here, and there is only one person we think of to get on our end of year show, and that is Mondelez's Jeffrey Wright. How you doing, Geoff? Good to see you, man.
I'm doing good, man.
Excellent. How has 2024 been to you, sir?
Dude. I mean, did you guys see the whole thing about Nova? Do you know the Amazon Nova? Do you guys know about Nova? Okay, not the channel.
No.
So, when you get a chance, everyone could Google it. But Nova is Amazon's language model, right? It's their AI piece of it. And recently, I'm involved with, again, I'm doing AEX now, right? So we're using NextThink for nerdy stuff. We're using chatbots for nerdy stuff. I'm like basically making casseroles out of all the technologies that I have, right? To make a recipe that's pretty much palatable to most at this company. But we use Amazon. We're going to use Amazon Connect, and Amazon Connect is kind of like the help desk kind of like thing that they do. It's basically their queue system, but with some cool nerdy stuff tied to it. And Nova was announced. Jeff Bezos was talking at this New York Times thing, if you guys didn't see that. But basically, it's large language models or small language models, depending on what you're doing. Currently, the biggest challenge is delivering, right? They do cool stuff. You can ask it to write you an email. Copilot does cool stuff. But in the scheme of things, it doesn't, it doesn't get you like start to finish great. It doesn't deliver, right? You can get stuff through the models. Nova is going to be a platform that allows it'll ingest everything somebody asks at a company. So NextThink has 1,000 employees. Every day 1,000 employees ping the chatbot or the ingestion point for help, and they go, in Germany, they're looking for the bathroom code. In North America, they want to know what our stance is on AI. In Latin America, they want to know what's the best price for bananas, like whatever it is. And it dumps into a delta, and it basically starts thinking about the answer, so that in very real time or close to real time, will probably be like a 24-hour turnaround, you start getting these palatable answers that solve the issue quickly at your company. So you have this massive data lake of all of the questions that aren't being solved within like a day. By the next day, you have an actionable use case and you have an actionable problem that's being solved from the LLM. And there's going to be man in the middle. I don't know if you guys know the man in the middle concept. Like, there's going to be like, hey, it starts here, and there's going to be somebody like it's probably going to be me, guiding it, right? But it's going to be a crazy couple of years. Hopefully, I can retire.
So I was actually going to ask you how your nerd career was evolving. It sounds like 2024 is kind of boring for you.
No, man. I am in a role here that when I go, I went to a summit. I went to a summit with some nerds. I went to Adobe, their big Max conference for Gen AI for the Imagine. And I'm working with Google now. We have a GCP stack here that's pretty robust. And like, it's just, I get to kind of like, I get to like go into a room with all these different doors, right? And every door is like it's Amazon, it's Google, it's Mistral, it's like, it's Perplexity. I get to kind of go into all these cool little spaces and, it's, hi, I'm Geoff. And they're like, ah, shit. you know, um, like my year, okay, again, let's go with March. In March, there was a company called Synthesia. If you guys don't know Synthesia, it is a company that, you can click and drag a bunch of stuff like that you have, from training to whatever. It creates an avatar, which is really, really good. And it translates you into like 100 and something languages, right? And I didn't really know anything about them. It has exploded at our company, right? And if you think about it, use cases for AI, everyone's kind of been sitting on the bench going like, I could say, draw me a polar bear in outer space, drinking a Coca-Cola, eating a chocolate bar, floating on a spaceship. Great. We can do that. We can tap into people's creativity that don't necessarily have that side of the brain working as well as others. Awesome. Let's do that. But when it comes like, rubber meets the road, like from like a C-suite level, they're like, yeah, we could, that's not that big of a deal. But then you say, hey, we're going to do this big SAP upgrade, right? We have 100,000, 200,000 people using SAP. And all of a sudden they go, okay, well, we got to translate that. We have we have 15 languages spoken. We have people in China, Japan, New Zealand, Australia. Like, it doesn't matter where you are. Okay, what if I told you I could take your 35-page knowledge base article, click, drag, pick the avatar of your choice. It could even be Geoff. They actually took me to the studio. I have like a Geoff avatar, right? Like, hey,
That's scary.
Yeah, you can do the show next year.
Like, hey, it's Avatar Geoff. Here you go.
mini me.
So click and drag that. And now all of a sudden, within minutes, you have your knowledge base article, training article translated into, I think now it's like 100 languages they could do. And it's an explosion of information in a native language around the world at factories, training. And I mean, I've had people reach out to me. They're like, Geoff, oh my God, like, do you know we used to have to hire a company and we had a guy that had to verify that spoke Japanese or spoke, Portuguese or spoke Brazilian. Then he verified, then he did this, then he did that. Now it's like, I have people that are clicking and dragging this stuff. We have security doing it. We have manufacturing, safety. Hey, don't put your hand in the oven kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Don't touch that. It's hot. We now translate that into 100 languages where it used to take sometimes months. Now it's, minutes.
Tom, this is what I love about having Geoff on. Let me just give you a couple of the notes I made before our call. I was going to ask Geoff how his career was going, how technology was being adopted at his workplace. Were there any big game changers or milestones this year? Was there a big aha moment? Is it more of just more of the same, or is this different? He covered it all in like 5 minutes.
Well, I want to know about this avatar, right? So where does the avatar come into it? Is it just like, is it like a translated article with your avatar up top giving a thumbs up, or does the avatar present the information? I just a little more detail on that.
Is a realistic human being reading the article?
Yeah, as I say with my son, I'm a real human being. I'm a human being. It is real facial expressions. Again, it's so crazy how fast it's gone. In March or April, I had to go into a studio in New York, and they did like, full makeup. They were like, okay, we're gonna do this whole thing. You're gonna have like the most ridiculous, super awesome Geoff Wright avatar. Awesome. Now you just go to the website.
Right.
You look up, you look to the right, you make expressions, and it eats that up, and it just it does it. So interestingly enough, we just actually had a presentation of all of my applications. By the way, my next think training is a Synthesia avatar,
Cool.
and I have it for all of my team because they kept asking me like, "Hey, how can we use next thing tactically?" Blah blah. I like take your article, I click and drag it, I put it. It's a Geoff Wright avatar, and they're like, "Wow, Geoff, this is amazing." I'm like, "I know."
Wow.
I'm like, and again, I'm very emphatic, right? I'm like doing this, and it does your hands like
Really?
you're.
So it looks and sound. Does it sound like you?
Yes. Now, what's even cooler is I can, of course, it's so funny. Great minds think alike. Everybody was like, I met the CIO and the CEO and I don't know, the CMO, and there's another guy that's he's out of Denmark. Really cool guy. Really cool guy. He kept telling me like the power of the possible, power of the possible. I'm like, I'm like a power of the probable guy, I kind of I lower my, but this guy was like, Geoff, he was like, you don't seem to understand like like how this is booming into, you know, anything, training at Disney, right? Oh, I work at Disney. I want to have like, I want to have a princess. I want to have like Star Wars. I want to have the Mandalorian tell me how I don't, not to burn your hands in the oven kind of stuff. And it's a sanitized version of whatever, like you talk about customer experience, you talk about experience. Who is the absolute best person for every customer out there to learn what they need to be taught? And it's different for everybody.
Mm.
Tim, you're a big fan of Pink Floyd. Wouldn't it be cool if you had Pink Floyd avatars that sound like them and everything else sing you a tune on how you're going to learn? I guarantee you'll learn it better. I guarantee, like, what I'm saying? You'll remember it, right?
Yeah, it could ruin Pink Floyd for me.
Leave it to you, Tim, to come up with ruin it. I'll ruin it for us.
I get your point, though.
But it's like hyper customized customer experience, giving people, again, we talk about all the different generations, which I'm heavily involved in, right? You're under the age of 30. You're not going to want like Uncle Bob, the Uncle Bob avatar. You probably won't want the Geoff Wright avatar. You'll probably be like, like, oh, who's this guy? I'm not saying like you want to make like, Post Malone or make these famous people, whatever, but like there are ways, make this training module for people under the age of 30 and make the avatar have some face tattoos, and, works well with others on their neck, right? Like whatever it is, you can hyper customize the avatar for people's more likely to ingest the knowledge.
So, Geoff, let me ask you this. A lot of what we do is to figure out the value of something. What's the ROI? Have you thought about calculating the benefit to the business of all of this creative stuff? Is it that you only need to go in the studio once and now you can create all this content without having to go in the studio again? Is it ROI for faster adoption, faster enablement? What's the benefit?
Great question. I without going into numbers, but it's telephone numbers, the amount of money that I could already calculate we're saving by taking a Geoff Wright avatar and putting him in Japanese, Mandarin, Portuguese, Spanish, like, you name it. And companies like ours, we have a hard time calculating the value of time. Most companies, they come in, they go, if you write an email and now Copilot can write the email for you, like and the numbers are always funny. They're like, Microsoft can save you, $10 trillion on the amount of times. And most executives, they don't really, that's not a dish they like to eat because they're like, yeah, but that doesn't put money in the wallet. That doesn't really hit the road for them. But for this, you translate, imagine this, right? You translate 1,000, 10,000 knowledge base articles, and you do it in just one click. You have every language. And here's the thing. People like to see something they're familiar with, right? You want a Asian or, I don't know, like New Zealander, whatever. you can choose those avatars and you can customize those avatars. As a matter of fact, I've been asking them for a little bit now. Like, and again, this was just in March. I feel like it's, the time is such a funny thing, but what if we did like a Sour Patch Kid, right? Wouldn't you like to have a Sour Patch Kid? It could be goofy, it could be cheesy, but whatever helps your employees adapt fast in the next, days, months, years is going to be not even like the value. It's going to be like priceless. I talk about companies that are leveraging AI and companies that are like putting a pin in AI because of GRC, because of security, because of the risks. Imagine if your company is not leveraging some form of Gen AI, or like I say Copilot or Gemini, or like, Meta, whatever the platform is. If you're not at least giving your employees an opportunity to kind of experiment a little bit, you're not going to give them that ability to upskill. And you are going to, I feel like it's one of those stories that's going to play out where like C-level execs are going to say, man, I really should have done everything I could to rip the knob off of like all of the, not all of the security and compliance, but like go. Because if this is with AI, if you stop for a minute and go, hey, everybody, we should wait a few months. Let's see what next year brings. You're going to be in the dust. You are going to be so far behind that by the time you expose your employees, the learning curve is going to be so aggressive that the true assets of your company, the people, I still believe people process tool. AI is still a tool. It's still number 3. I don't believe it's not going to hop in front of humans. We still have like the power button, the one layer that everyone doesn't talk about for whatever reason. And I've been involved in some of these cool stuff. The one layer that goes completely across the horizontal of all horizontals, power. If we just, if there was a solar flare and all the power goes out, these things are going to rust. AI is going to just stop. The data center explodes. That's it.
All right.
I'll pause there.
Yeah, there's a ton to digest. I don't even know where to take it, Geoff. I'm having a tough time even just keeping up with you.
Okay, so yeah, fascinating. I love it. Geoff, so would you say, right? I'm going to interpret what you just said, and it's something that's occurred to me,
Good
and
luck.
I've heard echo elsewhere recently somewhat. That the most important use to put AI to presently in the immediate present is to prepare the ground to allow the workforce to adjust and adapt to AI innovation in the near future. You need to get AI in place to facilitate that process of adoption and adaptation. Right. And
yeah, I call it.
I was going to say just last add to the question, Geoff, and then you can do the whole thing. Can you give us some like concrete examples of where you think that adaptation is going to be most pressing from your perspective, as you're basically facilitating employee digital experience across an organization such as yours, where you want them to have that layer of support, where you think you will?
I've said there's so many different spaces for AI, and I think the word AI is it's so inflated and people get confused. If you don't expose the people that need to at least understand the technologies now at your company, it's going to be intellectual atrophy. We talk about brain drain with people retiring. We talk about new people that are coming on. We spend a lot of time at work. And a lot of us, I often find myself forgetting that I'm in this. Like we're in the IT bubble. We're here. And when you talk to some folks that aren't in IT, right? Marketing, like just anything else, they go, really? Like I assume everybody saw Jeff Bezos talk yesterday, right? I'm like, oh God, you didn't talk about it, and they're like, Jeff, no, who? Like, oh, the Amazon guy. What is he sending packages? Is it a Christmas thing? Is it a Christmas report? They're so out of it. So I find myself like coming back, going like, oh, okay, so we're using Copilot. Like, what's the use case? Where's the value? And I really do hate the word value sometimes because I feel like it's been so, God, it's been like ram jammed into everything. Like you go to Burger King, the value meal, like everything's got value to it. And it's like, it's kind of like lost its meaning because when you try to like, oh, this has this kind of value, everybody has a different definition of what value is. So I think if you say like, forget the value for a minute, let's just talk about what does it do for you? People can be selfish, right? So I'm like, forget the value. I want to help you. Let me ask you, how long does it normally take you to do an RFP? Well, they asked us to do this thing and we're trying to get different cocoa prices and we're trying to like, we're trying to get like a chocolate bar on Mars and, here's all this stuff. I'm like, okay, well, if the RFP normally took you, weeks, probably, right? Weeks, maybe even like a month, depending on how robust that RFP was. With Copilot for PowerPoint, and I have to tell you, if you guys haven't used it, it'll ingest what you got. If somebody says, "Hi Tim, I want to have an RFP for these things," boom, 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 boom. It gives you a hell of a wire. Like you copy and you paste that into PowerPoint, and it's like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And before you know it, what used to probably take you at least a week and a lot of churn with people around you to get exactly what you were trying to pinpoint, you have a pretty darn good 90+% PowerPoint presentation for your customer, right?
Wow.
That used to take you weeks and now it takes you minutes. I mean, it's click and drag. It looks in your inbox. It takes all the emails from the customer that said, hey, we want to have, we're looking for something to be this cool. Great. And now you have a fast, again, now it's to market, right? Now you have an extremely quick, nicely polished, reviewed RFP that you can send to your customer. Whereas the people that aren't leveraging it are going like, oh my God, how did Tim's team put that together so quick? Right? How amazing. I mean, I have a great friend of mine that works in an engineering firm. Like, you want to talk about RFPs that will put you to sleep. It's just engineering stuff with all of the detail and stuff. But now if you plug AI into it, which some of the big companies are, right? Your AEComs, your parts, like they're doing it. They have these RFP like now that, it used to take months. And I mean that. They'll say like, Jeff, it used to take us months and now it takes us minutes.
Do you think there is and I don't know what the right descriptor is, ethical, moral requirement to disclose that AI contributed to the output?
It's a good question, Tim. Yeah.
In certain fields, I think there is, like authorship. I use it as my editor, make my content a little bit more readable, maybe prompt some ideas that are deeper in my brain, but that brings it to the surface. And there I feel a need to say, hey, you know what? I have a partner in this. It doesn't need to be a human. In this case, it's AI. I'm curious even just in that one narrow use case, the RFP.
Yes, I do, but almost in a funny kind of way. Like, how we all, when autocorrect, when autocorrect on the iPhone like kind of came out and like people would have like, sorry for the response, autocorrect might have helped, or, please be mindful if anything I just said like is misspelled or stupid, autocorrect helped. But I think it's almost more of a legal kind of thing. Because then you talk about liability. And again, I'm not a lawyer, but boy, with AI, I've been dealing with a lot this year. I've dealt with attorneys way more than I ever have in any other job. Actually, at any other point in my life. This year, I've been talking with counsel a lot because of GDPR, because of the German Work Council, because of some of the laws like in Europe. I believe if you replace a human process with AI, you have to report it. There's like the European Union has some laws. So I'm always a big fan of like being open, being transparent, and getting in front of it. So I would say that if you're going to do an RFP, that you should put like, hey, something like this RFP was assisted by AI to help better fit the proposal to our unique
Right.
customer.
Sure.
I can't imagine. And here, putting the other hat on, Tim. If you're the customer, would you be insulted or upset about that?
No, I think you're right on. It's more on the liability side. It's more on the full disclosure versus offending a customer. But it is a good question. I
It
wouldn't be.
is.
Yeah.
Another question, another similar to Tim's. This time with relation to productivity, Geoff, which is, I assume, is the sort of meta theme, if you will, that's getting the attention of your C-suite around this technology. And you're talking about a kind of, we all see it to whatever degree we engage with AI, that it really supercharges productivity. Do you think there's a danger, as it were, of almost making us excessively productive, by which I mean we outpace ourselves in what needs to be done?
So just so you guys know, like Next Think in general has helped me kind of like pivot what I already always knew. I am always thinking about the experience now. Like I always want to know the employee's experience, the customer's experience, the people's experience. Like I want it to be I want ultimately to bring about some form of happiness or a smile in my role here. Period, right? And I've had this question come up before where people are asking me about, if AI starts, pushing productivity, and if it's able to help people like do more with less, and are we going to stress people out, and are we going to have like the redundancy, are we going to show like all these things going to like just play out where it's like, it's the Matrix, right? It's the Terminator scenario. And I'm bullish on humans in the sense that I believe that it's going to be where AI gives people the 20-hour work week that we all probably want. And that is going to only lead to companies being more successful. And, because of talent, as things scale, like the talent that they have will be able to do better stuff, better things, and have more time to themselves to be creative and do better things outside of work, right? And that's only going to lead to a company to be that the blueprint, right? The idea of like, the 4-day work week, 3-day work week, like all this stuff. Like if you have an incredible workforce, or let's just say even a mediocre workforce, and you're able to give them more time to do what they love outside of work by leveraging AI, you're going to have smiles on their faces. You're going to have people happy.
It's a slippery slope, though, right? I'm going to play the other side of the coin for you, Geoff. We work a 20-hour work week. We're getting into trickle down economics, right? Are we paid for a 20-hour work week, and can we survive on that? Or will the companies actually provide us with a quality of life based on the productivity that we've given the company we work for? Not a question to be answered, but pondered, right? It's all on you. You hold the keys to the future.
Yeah, it's like, here's the thing: we all have to put those hats on, right? So, like, put your CEO hat on, right? Put your board of directors hat on, and ask yourself, if you knew that, what are you more concerned with, the hours worked or the quality of work? It's a million-year-old question. Would you rather have 100 people working on a boat that are like, half-assing it, or 10 guys that can bust it out better than ever and do it in 10 minutes? Do you care?
So the CEO and the board of directors want 40 hours worth of work in 20 hours. And if I can cut my labor costs in half, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, but I think with human nature, then you have people that'll.
It is.
I feel like that's a then you'll have people that that could do 20 hours worth of work that stretch it to 40. I feel like human nature will always find a way to fit what they need to do to
Yeah.
like check the box. So board of directors, like, we want 40 hours worth of work in 20. Work. Humans, if they're not doing what they want to do or love to do, or it's enjoyable to do, right? Like gamifying. That was like a big thing that came up this year. I'm sure we've all heard that. Gamify it, gamify training, gamify learning, gamify your email, gamify this. And you know what? It has legs, because if you make it fun, if you make the work not always brutal, you get way more with way less. So if the board and the CEOs are going, we want more with less, and you're like, dude, I could do less with more. The board and the C-level execs at some point in time are going to lose those good employees to companies that see it the other way.
Yeah. The market will, in theory, the employment market would fix itself.
Yes. I mean, my buddy works at Amazon. My brother works at Microsoft. But I have so many friends that work at the super elite. I say elite, the big IT companies, right? And there's always like, oh, return to office. Oh, we're doing return to office. And the smart people go like, dude, this is just a riff in reverse, right? They're trying.
Right.
They can't just do a mass. They're going to say, who wants it? Who wants it? Who wants to drive 2.5 hours into Midtown? Who's hungry, right? And look, the 20-something-year-old people that I talk to in my office that are like, Geoff, you know how much a condo is in like the hood? It's like $500,000. Right? Like, do you know how the cheapest thing? It's like the cheapest thing to find. I mean, you guys are in. Well, you're in PA. Even PA. It doesn't matter where you are now. It doesn't matter where you are. Unless you're in like a Coleman tent in South Dakota. And that's probably like,
I've been in a Coleman tent in South Dakota, but I just...
But it's like, it's expensive. So when you have those, it's interesting. It's like that catalyst. We have plenty of people that are in their mid to late 20s in the office that are, they make a good living, but they still live at home. And, they 99% of them don't want to live at home, but they're saving money to get that first foot in the door to that, $900,000 half bedroom studio, with like a toilet, a sink, a kitchen, a refrigerator, all within 3 feet of each other. Right.
Yeah. Just anecdotally, I struck up a conversation yesterday with a guy sitting at a bar at the airport. And he said, man, I am so not looking forward to going back to San Diego. And I looked at him, I said no one ever. I've been to San Diego, and within 10 minutes, I want to live there.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And he said, oh, it's beautiful. I can't afford anything, though. It's so expensive to live in the city. And almost every city is like that, though. Atlanta, Chicago, LA, no matter where, New York, Boston. Try living in Boston.
I know. Well, you guys have it. Boston has those think tanks. So, as soon as those big schools have people that graduate, even if you go with like the 1% of the population of those people graduating with those degrees are smart and got them and can hopefully get the money and knock out the rest of the people. It's for Austin's like Texas, Texas is weird in a sense because it's like, you could get a ranch in the middle of nowhere, but for a good, but where do you go? You have to you have to have like a jetpack to get
or
to
your own oil well in the backyard.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised. We have a lot of colleagues that are going to Austin because Austin just seems to be a hot place, but it's like, it's expensive. Austin's expensive. Like you said, Austin's expensive. Atlanta's expensive. Charlotte. Forget North Carolina. It used to be like value. Oh, hey, you could go to Charlotte and get a good price. No, you can't. Nope. Miami, Florida, Arizona. I mean, I know people that have bought places and reload to Lake Tahoe, the Nevada side. I think it's called Incline Village. If you guys know Incline Village, it's interesting because he bought the place for $500,000. It's a 2-bedroom condo, and he's from the North Carolina area, and he got more money, more value, more whatever for going to that place because there's no income tax. Nobody told him that you can get 12 to 15 feet of snow, which I don't know how you
Overnight.
don't how somebody gets up. I mean, a single guy gets up, leaves his house with his family, right? He was like staying with his parents, left his family to buy a place in Incline Village, and didn't like Google like snow or like
Right. Climate, weather, anything.
like what he was like, dude, they get like 10 feet of snow here? And I'm like, yeah, dude. Like Sierra Nevada, like you're in the you're like you're like 10,000 feet.
Let me ask one question, Tom, because I think that other than the trend of prices and weather and all that stuff, what do you see as a trend right now heading into next year? We've talked a lot about what we like, what's cool. What do you see happening that you don't like, that you don't think we should continue down, that maybe we need to reverse?
Well, you can't reverse anything in IT, right? But
Yeah.
But where do you redirect? Where do you start moving away from? The Gen AI stuff. So, we all saw, like, again, last year, into the beginning of this year, the copywriting, the Shutterstock, all of this all of the image generation from all the different platforms. I can't even name half of them, but there needs to be intellectual guidelines around how you're using other people's stuff. Music is one of them. I feel like if you guys haven't seen it, make me a cool song that sounds like, Johnny Cash, but like with my voice, and man, it makes a great tune. And, all of the people like, Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, the people that have the money can throw the lawyers at it and say, that's Elvis Presley in my voice, you're sued. But there's a lot of up and coming artists. There's a lot of up and coming vocalists, musicians that on Reddit and a lot of other forums are constantly going like, did everyone forget that we're just having our stuff stolen? Like, it's the days of it's Napster again. Remember Napster and
Sure
LimeDime,
thing.
and like people just start downloading music for not for free. I mean, they're just stealing stuff.
Or sampling, even sampling in a song without credit. Yeah.
This AI is not an excuse to start stealing people's IP. And it's unfortunate right now, even the best attorneys, I have a close friend and colleague that's in the Palo Alto area. So like Silicon Valley, they're really into this whole IP thing around music. And the question is, he made a great example. If you copy and paste Moby Dick into like ChatGPT, the entire novel, and then say, rewrite this in a steampunk kind of style and change the characters from a whale to this and a bap, that,
Right.
and it spits it out. And you go to the attorney and they go, look, by law, IP has to be like more than 7. They have to prove more than 70%, right? So you can actually even tell ChatGPT, make it 69%
Right.
of the book and change at will, make it funny, whatever. And now you just rewrote Moby Dick in a different kind of context.
Gentlemen, we've only got so many minutes left, gentlemen, and I have loved the conversation so far. We've gone very, very broad, and I just want us to narrow it down a little bit. Geoff, you gave us a glimpse of that big milestone in March, and I'm just wondering, where have you seen, final theme, final topic, final riff, where have you seen the most innovation this year in actuality that you've been able to deploy, that you've seen results from, specifically around digital employee experience and EUC? Where have you seen the most real-time advancement?
I mean, it's sentiment, right? The sentiment campaigns and the sentiment stuff that we've been sending out has kind of given me a completely different keyhole view into like the planet, my organization, at least. Every month I always feel like I have a better grasp on what people are feeling about IT, and I'm always wrong. I'm always wrong. It doesn't. Now, again, I always use this word globular, right? We just sent out our yearly or like our bi-yearly campaign for employee sentiment. And I'm always like, hey, we're killing it over here in Latin America. And it's like, no, everyone said that this was broken. And I'm like, well, this says it's good. Nope, that's broken, right? So I'm always rebaselining what the globe, what different regions of planet Earth feel from an experience standpoint. But I have to tell you, like the biggest milestone and the biggest like aha moment, I have to focus on putting together like mini communities at this company to help understand from the human element what people are really feeling. No matter of, again, even Copilot or AI, you could reword something a million times on a campaign or like anything like engagement to the employee. You could do it in every technological way possible. But man, there is just something to that human, like, hey, what do you see going on in your environment? Well, Geoff, every time we go to open up a PDF, it crashes or it locks up. Really? I'm not necessarily seeing that all the time. And what's crazy is sometimes it's just little things like that just, well, it's not crazy. Sometimes it's just the littlest things like that just ruin someone's day. You have no idea how important opening up a PDF is, because you and I, like, we open them. You and I and everybody on this call probably are like, yeah, I could just close it out, whatever. Sometimes people don't know what they need to do, right? So something as simple as a PDF freezing when they try to open it could lead to somebody like, throwing a toaster across the room. And that's the emotional element that I have only found directly speaking with these global communities that I've set up around the world. Because the data and the numbers are there to guide us. They are not the freaking target. I've said this so many times when people bring up dashboards and they bring up like Geoff, they said the target is getting people to have a better experience. The target is not 91.3% of the people so that but no, that's not the target. That is just data to help guide us to a better, more blissful experience for our employees. I say blissful. Let's start with, do not throw a toaster across the room in anger because of something I did or we're doing, because I want to help.
You can make a song, Geoff. Don't throw a toaster in anger. It sounds like to the tune of use
Sounds like
Oasis. Don't throw a toaster in anger.
Or Johnny Cash, right? Don't throw a toaster across you. It's true, and different cultures and different people around the world. Again, I'm blessed to have as globular as a role as I do, but you don't seem to realize that every culture has a different experience, even if the problem is the same.
Very cool. Very cool. I appreciate it, Geoff. I appreciate it. And we appreciate you so much, man. Honestly, I honestly, that first half hour about AI had my brain fizzing. I think you said so many provocative but very convincing things there.
I'll stop there.
That's
Is that good,
punch.
Tom?
Wrap. Thanks, Geoff. Catch you later.
To make sure that you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast player. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave a rating of the show. Just tap the number of stars you think the podcast deserves. If you'd like to learn more about how NextThink can help you improve your digital employee experience, head over to nextthink.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.